Okay, so you know that feeling you get, right? Like when you think someone's watching you online?
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if I told you that feeling might not be so far off?
Interesting.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into all that.
Okay.
We're looking at this article called The Algorithm's Control, Manipulation and Escape.
Wow.
Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I think you sent it to me.
Yeah, I thought it would be right up our alley. And maybe some of our listeners shared it too because they felt that like pull of endless
Ugh,
scrolling.
I know. I have.
Ugh,
It's so easy to get sucked in.
totally. So we're going to try to unpack how these algorithms actually work,
Okay.
how they influence us, and most importantly, how we can take back some control.
Sounds good.
All right, so you're the expert here.
Well, I don't know about that, but I've definitely done my research.
Fair enough.
Uh-huh.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly are these algorithms and what are they trying to do?
Okay, so, we often talk about algorithms like they're these mysterious forces, but actually they're just trying to do one thing, really. Keep us engaged.
Okay, so how do they do that?
Well, the article compares them to this unseen force that's tracking our every move online.
That sounds a little creepy.
Yeah, it kind of is when you think about it, but it's not far off from the truth.
So it's just like tracking our clicks and likes and stuff?
Well, it's more than that.
Right.
They're also using this thing called micro-tracking.
Micro-tracking. What's that?
So it's like they're measuring these tiny movements that we don't even realize we're making.
Like what?
Well, think about it. They're looking at how long you hover over a certain image, how far you scroll down a page, even how fast you're scrolling.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, and all that data gets fed into the algorithm, right? And it paints this really detailed picture of your behavior and preferences.
So it's not just what we click on, it's like how we interact with everything online.
Exactly.
It's almost like they can read our minds.
Uh-huh. Well, not quite. But they're getting pretty good at figuring out what will keep us glued to the screen.
So basically the goal is to keep us engaged.
Yeah. And the article talks about how sometimes that means pushing us toward content that's increasingly extreme or sensationalized.
Oh yeah, I've definitely noticed that.
Have you ever heard of the purple cow analogy?
I'm not sure.
So it's this idea that something shocking stands out, right? It's like a purple cow in a field of regular cows.
Okay, I get it.
But then we get used to it. So they have to keep upping the ante to keep our attention.
Like clickbait.
Exactly. Like the other day, I saw this article with the most outrageous headline. I had to click on it. It was total clickbait, but the algorithm got me anyway.
Happens to the best of us.
Right. So it plays on our natural curiosity and our desire for novelty.
Yeah. But like you said, it can lead us down this rabbit hole of increasingly sensationalized content.
Yeah, and that's not always healthy.
The article actually mentioned this disturbing example of this happening on Instagram,
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
where users were being shown incredibly graphic content. It was awful.
It's scary how far it can go.
So how does the algorithm even go there?
Well, the algorithm doesn't really have morals or ethics.
Right.
It's just trying to maximize engagement.
Even if it means pushing down truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a constant arms race for our attention.
And that can lead to some pretty dark places.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we've got this algorithm constantly analyzing our every move,
Huh?
trying to figure out what will keep us hooked. But what's the impact of all this? Like, what's the bigger picture?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the potential for manipulation, right? The algorithm can exploit our existing biases.
Yeah.
And create echo chambers where we're only exposed to information that confirms our existing worldview.
Like that example in the article about matches versus lighters.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's such a good example.
It seems so ridiculous, but it really highlights how the algorithm can shape our perception.
For sure. Think about it. People were being shown completely different narratives about something as simple as matches and lighters.
Right?
And both sides were convinced they were right. That's the danger of echo chambers. We become so insulated in our own information bubbles that we lose the ability to critically evaluate different perspectives.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
Yeah, it's like the internet is becoming this hall of mirrors, just reflecting back our own beliefs and biases.
Right.
That can't be good for, constructive debate
Hmm.
or just understanding each other.
It's not.
Hmm.
And it gets even worse. The algorithm can target us when we're most vulnerable.
Really?
Like the article gave this example of someone going through a breakup, and they suddenly started seeing all this like misogynistic content.
Oh, wow.
It's like the algorithm can sense our weaknesses and then just exploits them for clicks.
That's messed up.
Yeah, it is. It's like
Yeah.
the whole thing is designed to keep us hooked, even if it's bad for us.
So what can we do about it? I mean, can we escape the algorithm's grip?
Well, the article suggests a few things.
Okay.
One is taking a break from social media.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
The author actually talked about going offline for like 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, and they said it had incredible mental benefits.
I mean, that sounds amazing, but like, is that even realistic for most people?
It's definitely a challenge.
Right.
Especially in our world today, everyone's always connected, but even small breaks can help.
Oh, okay. So like putting my phone down for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Or like turning off notifications for a few hours each day, or designating certain times as like screen-free zones.
I like that.
Yeah, just small things to give yourself a break.
That makes sense. What about that other strategy the article mentioned, training the algorithm?
Oh, yeah, that's another good one.
How does that even work?
It's all about being more intentional with what you consume online.
Okay.
Like, think of it as curating your own digital experience.
So like if I see something that's, triggering or just reinforces some harmful bias, I should just scroll past.
Exactly. Don't engage with it. Instead, try to actively seek out content that aligns with your values and your interests.
So it's like giving the algorithm feedback.
Exactly.
Showing it what we want to see more of. But is that really enough to change how it operates? I mean, it seems like the whole system is designed to just keep us scrolling.
That's a good question. And honestly, I don't think the article fully addresses that systemic nature of the problem.
Yeah.
It focuses on individual actions,
Right.
which are important, but the algorithms themselves need to change. We need more transparency about how they work, and maybe even some regulations to make sure they're not designed solely for profit.
At the expense of our well-being.
Exactly.
So it sounds like we're talking about two separate things here.
Yeah.
What we can do as individuals,
Right.
and then what needs to happen on a larger scale.
Yeah, we need both individual awareness and collective action if we really want to address this issue.
It's a lot to think about, right? Like, we have some power, but also, there are these huge systemic issues, too.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about all the downsides of algorithms.
Right.
But are they all bad? Like, are there any ways they can be used for good?
That's a great point. We focus on the negative stuff, but algorithms can also be powerful tools for connection and discovery and learning.
Okay, so how...
Well, think about how they can connect you with people who share your interests.
Yeah.
Or help you find information that's relevant to what you need.
I guess so.
Have you ever had Spotify recommend a new artist that you ended up loving?
Yeah, all the time.
Right. It's it knew exactly what I was looking for.
They're pretty cool when it works like that.
Exactly. So it's all about finding that balance.
Balance between
the benefits and the risks.
Right.
Right? Harnessing the good stuff while being aware of the bad.
And taking steps to protect ourselves.
Exactly. It's about being an informed and discerning consumer of technology.
Not just passively letting it control us.
Right.
Okay, so to recap, we've talked about how these algorithms work, the dark side of engagement, the potential for manipulation. But what does it all mean for, the listener? What's the key takeaway from this deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. You're not powerless. You actually have more agency than you might think.
Really?
When it comes to shaping your online experience.
Okay.
By understanding how these algorithms work, you can start making more conscious choices about how you interact with them.
So it's about taking back control.
Exactly.
Not letting the algorithms control us, but figuring out how to use them to our advantage.
Precisely. But it also raises this question that the article only kind of touches on.
What's that?
If we know that these algorithms have such a huge impact on our lives, what would a truly healthy relationship with this technology actually look like?
That's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer for that.
Me neither, but it's something worth thinking about.
Yeah. Definitely. So as you go about your day-to-day, think about the ways algorithms are shaping your experience and what steps you can take to create a more balanced and, fulfilling online life.
It doesn't have to be huge changes.
Right.
Just try a mini digital detox or make an effort to diversify the content you're consuming. Every little bit helps.
Totally. All right. Well, that's about all the time we have for today.
Well, this was a great conversation.
Yeah, I learned a lot. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, until next time, keep jiving deep.